In this trade, there's an obvious strong move up. So you're automatically thinking, that we're moving up. We're going higher. So, and then in the next, then you get a retest of that 900 level. They get rejected out of there. So they still have intent that they want to take it higher. They hit that 920. They come back. They buy it right there at the bottom of that node around the 908 level. So there's still bullish intent. And why they're doing that, you can see they're building that little bit of a flag on the way up. I don't normally use trend lines, but I put them in there to kind of show you it's easier to see the area that I'm looking. So as we come back to retest right there, I put my order in. I'm looking for this delta to start switching. Right here it does. And at this point, I would never let this come down. I have my stop way down there at 908, but I would never let this come all the way back to 908. I would be out of this. At this point, I would be out of this if it started to fail. I'm looking to take the first target basically at the, as close as I can get to that 920. And I kind of expected this to, really take off out of here. And when it doesn't, I start changing my expectations of what I think it's going to, end up doing. Because initially I was hoping we would bust right through here. And then we get maybe a retest of that 920. We'd move higher. And it just kind of grinds around a little too much. But right up here, I'll take my first target. Right there, right at the top of that previous time period. Because just looking at this, you could see how easily we would fall back, just like we started to do here. And I thought this was going to take me out actually. So, but it does, it does catch it. And like I was saying, it's working, but it's just not working as strong as I had initially thought it was going to. So it's making me kind of second guess how far I want to shoot for. You can see they buy the top of that node. That was just a little pullback. And if you look at that delta, it's not taking off the way I wanted it to. So as we get close to the top here, I'll go ahead and take another contract off. I usually try to get 20, which that was probably about 19. I shoot for 20 as like a minimum. I try not to take anything less than 20 ticks. So in this next one, I'm looking for 10 points because it doesn't seem as strong, as I thought it would be. So I thought there was a good chance that we would pop up over this 920 and kind of sweep it and then fall back in, maybe head down towards the POC, something like that. And so if we would have broke over, or when we do break over, in a regular, if I didn't have that order there, I would move these stops up. So as we broke over the top, I would pull at least one of the stops up to catch it if it fell back. You can see how long we're grinding around in this 920 here. The delta is still moving up, which I'm looking at right there. It's just not what I expected. So that's why I would keep, making adjustments in my expectations. Even here, when that next time period opened, I felt like that should really, punch over there, which it did. It just seemed like it was a little hesitant. And as we get close to that 10 points, I'll go ahead and take this one right there. And so now this is where I'm looking for it to kind of, what I really wanted was that it would come back and, test that 920 and then take off. But it kind of shoots right up here and I'll bring that next stop up just to secure those 10 points, which is right in there. And unfortunately, I make the mistake of adjusting, and I think that was an error. I actually think I should have tucked this up tighter because it pushed up like that. I didn't get a retest of that 920. So you can see how it's building a volume profile and a little node over there. And what I wanted it to do at this point was just kind of rotate on that node and then move higher. And unfortunately, I moved this stop down, which I should have done that. That was an error on my point or on my part. But you can see that node. I wanted it to bounce basically right there. When it didn't, I should have just closed it, because one of two things are going to happen. Either it's going to take off from here, or it's probably going to come back and test that 920 like I kind of wanted it to. So my point is, I don't think there's any advantage to keeping that like basically where it's at. I should have kept it at that, either take the 40 ticks or even take it right now, or you got to give it enough room so that it can come back and test that 920. So that's where my stop is now is kind of pointless, looking back at this. But of course I was, being hopeful that it would. You can see how it's rotating on that node. And when it come back like this, I definitely should have been out of that right there. It would have taken out that stop. But at this point I've given up, 4 or 5 points on that. So I think that's too many, and it's a bad stop placement. And you can see I adjusted that again, but it doesn't come back that far. I end up closing it right there.